In 1999, New York State enacted an important piece of legislation known as Kendra's Law. It provides a mandate to local government to assist individuals with mental illness in getting important, needed treatment. Here to tell us about assisted outpatient treatment is the coordinator of Suffolk County's program. Thank you for coming in today, Janine.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Great. Why don't we start with tell us about Kendra's Law. What is it and how did it begin?
Kendra's Law began in 1999, and it's named after Kendra Webdale, who was a young woman who lived in New York City and unfortunately was killed when she was thrown onto the subway tracks by a man named Andrew Goldstein, who did have paranoid schizophrenia. He had been treated in the past, but unfortunately at the time of the incident he was off his medication, psychiatric medication, and he was hearing voices and telling him to do this, and she lost her life. Her mother worked with the New York State Legislature to get Kendra's Law passed, which Governor Pataki signed it into law in 1999, and it provides for assisted outpatient treatment, which is court-ordered outpatient psychiatric treatment for people with serious and persistent mental illness.
Is Kendra's Law intended for all people with mental illness or only certain people?
No, only certain people. There's specific criteria that someone would have to meet for the program, and basically it's people that have been diagnosed with a severe mental illness and have become non-compliant with their treatment for various reasons, and they have to have criteria, basically 2 hospitalizations within the last 3 years due to the non-compliance, or 1 act of violence toward themselves or others within the last 4 years, and again that act of violence has to have been due to non-compliance with psychiatric medication or treatment.
Okay, so because people are non-compliant, in other words, not medicated or not receiving the care they need, sometimes they behave in erratic and difficult ways. But the reality is, most people with mental illness are not violent towards other people, correct?
That is true. That's absolutely true. Yes, that's a myth, and that's not really what we see in most people with mental illness. Even at times when they are non-compliant, most of them are not doing serious acts of violence, but some of them do, and this program can really help to try to keep people in the community safely.
And I've often thought of Kendra's Law as also holding the care delivery system accountable.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, people that are resistant to treatment are often not the best patients. They might skip, visits, their attendance is poor, they don't call when they miss appointments, and they get lost to contact, so to speak. And treatment providers find this difficult. So Kendra's Law really holds providers accountable as well. We set up a treatment plan. Not only does the client have to follow the treatment plan, but the provider has to make sure that they maintain treatment with the patient, even at times when they miss visits. They're outreaching the patient. They're making sure that the follow-up is there so that they don't get lost in the system.
And for the individual who's going to go under court order, they actually go to court and then they go before a judge, correct?
Correct. If we do petition the court for an AOT order, the patient has a mental hygiene legal service attorney to represent them, and they can come to court if they choose to, and they are an active participant in the treatment plan. We always take the individual needs of the client into consideration to see what has worked, what hasn't worked, and why, and then we try to develop the best individualized treatment plan for that particular patient.
And then once the court order is in place, how do you monitor and how do you work with the individual to make sure that it's helping them?
Each AOT patient has a care coordinator, which is either an ACT team, assertive community treatment, or an intensive case manager. That person is responsible for seeing the patient in the community and then reporting back to the AOT office weekly. This is done by written reports, and they basically talk about what's working with the plan, what isn't working, what needs to be changed, modified, adjusted, so that the plan can really be set up to help the client in recovery. We never try to set up plans that are going to not work out for whatever reason. We have to take many things into consideration, including their insurance and where they live. Some clients are in private housing, some are in spa housing, which is housing that's offered for the mentally ill in Suffolk County. So we take everybody into account, what their needs are, what their individualized needs are, and then the care coordinator will monitor the patient and report back to the AOT office.
And have you seen this program to be effective for people?
We have. There's quite a bit of people over the years that have really benefited from the program, and even though initially they may feel that it does restrict them in some ways and they might not be on board with it in the beginning, after time when they're more stabilized and they see the benefits themselves of being in a consistent residence, of having a care coordinator to rely on to help them with their goals. A lot of the clients later on say that they needed it, and they are thankful for the program, that it did help them stay out of maybe jail or prison or out of the hospital. We've seen people reconnect with family members. You know, relationships that might have been destroyed in part due to the mental illness have now been put back together, and they're reconnecting with loved ones. A lot of the people under Kendra's Law are able to go back to work or go back to school or just pursue whatever goals, personal goals they may have.
Sounds great. I know that a lot of viewers perhaps that have a loved one with mental illness that maybe they're concerned about, they're hearing this and going, oh, that sounds great, I'd love to get my loved one involved. But we first need to say that for most people, we prefer to work with them voluntarily outside of the court system and everything else. But for those that would be eligible or might be eligible, how might they go about that if a loved one was watching and said, I want to know more about this?
They can give us a call. We have many staff members willing to help. The number is 631-853-6205. And we also have our AOT application on the internet on the Suffolk County Division of Mental Hygiene website. It will say court-ordered treatment. They can click on that and take a look at the application and see if it's something that applies to their situation.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.